Hey everyone. Alright, so Brittany and I were talking and we both said that we thought it would be a good idea if I did a video on my breastfeeding experience, because my experience was not the best, and I want the women out there to know who are having the same problems that I did that it's okay. With my first child, I was 16 when I got pregnant, and I had him in March. I turned 17 in January, and he was born in March, so I had just turned 17. I was young. I didn't know what I was doing. I was scared, so I decided to bottle feed. It was the best decision of my life. At that point in life, it was the best for me. Now with my second son, it was 11 years later. I was married. I had the support of my husband. Let's see. I had a C-section with my first child. So I thought, 11 years later I was going to be okay. I thought, oh, I can have a VBAC. And then I wanted to breastfeed. I wanted to do everything the way it was supposed to be. Okay, so we go to the Lamaze classes and we go to breastfeeding classes. I learned everything I wanted or needed to. I read books, I studied. I did everything I was supposed to do because I wanted to breastfeed my child. I wanted my child to have the best. But anyway, I had went into labor. So we went over to the hospital. They checked me. Then they made me walk for an hour, and yes, I had dilated another centimeter after an hour, so they said, yes, you're in labor. And they knew how I had wanted to try for a VBAC. And so the doctor came in, and she talked to me, and with the previous experience that I had with my first son's head being so enlarged, not enlarged, but being so big that it wouldn't fit through the birth canal, she was scared that I wouldn't be able to deliver naturally again with my second child. She said considering go ahead and doing a C-section would be the best. So my husband and I talked about it, and he said, yeah, maybe we should go ahead and do the C-section. So we went ahead and did the C-section. Well, during that, the Nicholas aspirated so much marconium that he ended up in the NICU. And he was on respirator, the oxygen tent. I was out of it. And so when I finally was able to go see him and they got me in my room and everything, the first thing I had to do was pump. They wanted me to pump. So my husband's aunt had given us this pump that it was not a name brand. I really don't even know what brand it was. And it wasn't the right size for me. So it really started hurting. It had bruised me, and it had actually started to I want to say chafe, but it was like blisters, I don't know. So my husband went out and got me the Medela, the nice $300 and some Medela pump with all the accessories. He went to the place over here. It's called Best Start Parenting. They and got right size cups for me, and he brought them back to the hospital. So that actually helped me a whole lot. But it was like 3 days before I could even put Nicholas skin to skin. So I had been pumping every 2 hours. For the first 24 hours, I had pumped with the bad pump. Then I was pumping with the good pump. So finally the third day, they let me go into the NICU and put him skin to skin with me to see if that would help to bring my milk in. Because it was day 3 and my milk still hadn't come in. And I was getting upset and I was getting worried. And so that third day night, the NICU nurses actually, she was like, we're just going to have to do this. He had his feeding tube in his nose. They moved it from his mouth and put it down through his nose so they could actually let him latch on. So latching on and that sensation within 2 or 3 hours of doing that, once he nursed for a minute or so, like 5 minutes on each side, I went in my room and I started pumping, and then after a couple times pumping, my milk started coming in. So that really helped. Well, I was only getting like a half an ounce out of each side, and you know, he was in the NICU for a week, and then when we finally came home, I was nursing and nursing and nursing and nursing and then pumping and nursing, and then right after nursing I was pumping, and it was a constant battle for me, and I was just, you know, I was so tired. I had just had a C-section. I was still sore. So I was feeding, I was nursing, and then giving him a bottle because I wasn't producing enough. Then I was pumping to try to get my milk come in even more, or to get my milk supply up. And then after all that, it was time to feed again. So, and by that time, my nipples were just raw. I mean, raw as raw could be. They were actually cracked, and it looked like you could peel the top layer off. I was hurting. I tried so hard to get in the shower and, you know, let the warm water run on me and see if that would help release and bring my milk flow in. But it hurt for the water to even touch me. And I just told my husband, I was like, I said, Mike, I said, I just can't do this anymore. I said, he was like, well, let's just try for another day or two and see, you know, you know, we'll do everything we possibly can. And so I tried for another day, and I was stressing out, and, you know, I was crying. The baby was getting, you know, affected, and my milk just was drying up because I was stressed, and Mommy. He was stressed, and I couldn't stand for him to latch on.
Mommy.
Thank you. I couldn't stand for him to latch on because it hurt so bad. And then I would try to go get in the shower, and then that would hurt, and nothing was helping. So after like a day or so of crying and just sheer pain, my husband said, okay, he said, that's it. He said, I'm tired of seeing you like this. He said, you've tried, I've tried, we've tried together. He said, let's just go bottle feeding. So I was upset, but in the same, you know, moment in time, I was relieved. I was very relieved that I knew he was going to be eating. He was going to be happy. I was going to be happy. It just, so any of you out there who have tried and can't quite get it, or you're stressed out, and you know, you're tired and it's affecting your baby, don't feel like you are a loser. I don't want to say loser. You don't feel like you're giving up. Because if it's stressful for you, then it's stressful for the baby. Your experience is not going to be a good experience. It's not going to be a good experience for the baby. If you choose to go bottle feeding and formula, go for it. If that's what works best for you, do it. Because you, with your baby, you want to have this special, you know, memories and moments. You want your experience with your baby to be a good one. So that's what I have to say, is my experience. For the first 3 weeks, let me say for the first 2 weeks, it was all okay. Well, the first week he was in the NICU, it was stressful. The second week was okay. We were doing pretty good nursing and, you know, pumping, and, you know, then the third week we were having to nurse and pump and bottle feed, and then it just started getting worse. So my experience was not good, then it went to good, and then it just fell off. You know, I thought, oh yeah, I can do this. And then all of a sudden it just got worse and worse and worse, and I just kept telling my husband, I feel like a failure. I feel like a failure. And he was like, no. He's like, you're not a failure. He was like, you tried. And you know, it just wasn't working for you. He was like, let's let this be a good experience for you and the baby. So I just want you all to know that no matter what comments you get or anything, if you choose to bottle feed, go for it. Because you want the experience with your baby to be a good one. So, but anyway, that was my story. Sorry it's like so long and drawn out and boring, but I thought it would be a good idea for those of you who have tried and just it's not working for you. Don't feel bad for going bottle feeding. So, bye guys. Love you all.